about conch cell. The reason I have done part 2 is part 1, I talked about that every man and women used to carry a particular kind of conch cell if they could afford to. It was not restricted to the great persons or personalities. It carried the sound and the style of sound that used to make, used to carry the identity, the culture, the call, the tradition, and a lot of other things. And it was a call for prayer. But one thing I didn't address in the previous video, that was the scientific and other flavor attached to this particular culture. It was not just culture and identity. Conch cell used to be primarily played in the early morning when the sun simply rises, not the Brahma Muhurta, little later. And in the evening, when the sun used to go down and the dusky environment, and then it used to get played. Why? Have you ever thought about it? That why a particular time, of course you can play all the times of the day, any times of the day, but these 2 times were for no reason. You can't find any, even if you are not doing puja in the morning, you just play the conch cell. So why you used to do that? And where do we get all this greatness about this śaṅkha sound? Surprisingly, in the Vedas. And today, in this particular episode, I will talk about, take you through the actual literature, so the pre-Vedic era, why conch cell became a very fundamental of Hinduism and what are the scientific things that are associated with it. If you look at the conch cells, it could be clockwise or anti-clockwise. So whether it is clockwise or anti-clockwise will determine whether you are Saivik or Shaktik. So different classes of Hindus used different rotation, clockwise or anti-clockwise. And you know, Om symbol, Om is anti-clockwise, and then clockwise, and then superposition of clockwise and anti-clockwise. And I explained in Om how is it. Now you see, how do you understand that particular hypothesis or particular explanation that we are making or we are giving is the truth? Now, you understand following the way that it is interconnected, and its instances would be there in multiple different occasions and multiple different practices over the millennia. So now what we have to do is we have to understand that how this this tool was a scientific tool. So if you make a concept śaṅkha nāda, it is called the nāda, naval. This sound has to come from here. That's where nāda. Around 2 kilometers, 110 to 130 hertz, high quality factor. Q factor means the bandwidth and the peak intensity, the ratio of that. And so Haput full minima. I remember my school days. But one interesting thing that I would like to say is that they used to make a very typical sound, a typical hole in the conch cell to symbolize particular code. So they used to have these conch cells, and imagine you are in a war, and in Hollywood movies, you have seen a big guy with a big muscle. They come and then shout, bro, we are going to win today. Indians were little intelligent, and Hindus were really, really intelligent. They knew that if they shout, the sound will never go. So conch cell, the holes, initially people didn't understand in the Harappan period why there were so many conch cells and with a different kind of hole. Later they understood that when they make the sounds with those different kind of holes, basically very peculiar combination of sounds could be generated. So apart from changing your vocal cord, the sound that is coming out, as I said, so these multiple staircase-like oscillations, rapid oscillations in single breath, that was considered very, very important. And also like Lata Mangeshkar and then several other singers, that they used to play long time duration. And then in Varanasi, you hear that 2 minutes 52 seconds they used to play contra in a single breath. How long can you? And the duration of console sounding was very important. But this coding and decoding of this console, because console sound used to go to nearly 2 kilometers around, all around in the vicinity, and you would have this all kind of concerts, and you have many soldiers all around, and how a single sound can synchronously impact. That's why in a war, you will not find it in Ramananda Sagar's Ramayana or Mahabharata or something, because they don't know anything about Hindu culture at all. So in a war scenario, or in a group, or in a fair, where village fair, you have heard, it's a very long distance thing, and you make a particular code, and then the people know that, okay, now this thing is going to come, or that thing will be, because village fair are almost like Disney shows. So a lot of shows of horrible, a kind of people who used to make different kind of sounds or something. So different hours, the jamindars used to introduce different kind of cultures, and then that code used to come from the console. So consoles holes were used to give different codes, and in the warlike scenario, it was used for different kind of synchronization effects of different kind of teams, and they used to listen to the console, and they used to organize and reorganize accordingly. So the stupidity of the Hollywood movies should stop, because they should copy from Hindus, and that, as they always do, and they should implement in future movies. So I have said that Vishnu's console would be Dakshinavarta, spiral, and it's a cosmological order, they used to call it. So and Shiva and Shakti, Shiva and Saivik and the Sakta, those who worshippers, the followers, they are Bhamavarta. That means opposite side. So clockwise and anti-clockwise. But listen to this. When you are doing yogic tradition, you are absorbing the energy from the universe while connecting it. And when you are doing a Vishnu, because Vishnu's Ananta Sajja, during the Mahapralaya, when Sattarajatama guna disappears and only Rajaguna remains, then what happens? You spread your energy all around and all around and all around. And this is how you reach to a point when you yourself become so purified that you end up getting feedback from infinity. What is that? Sattva. And that actually start causing the tama. So tamaguna and sattva is born. So that's why Dakshinavarta is a spiraling out towards the universe from inside to outside, and Shiva Shakti is outside to inside. So two different kind of concepts. That is the reason was used, but there are more to it. Now we come to the most interesting part. That is, there are two Upanishads I will talk about, Nāda Bindu Upanishad and anāhata Upanishad. In these two Upanishads, they have described that a tantric yogi, when they will sit, because the cochlea in the ear, the Hindu musical system I described earlier, and the ratio of the spiraling out, that ratio and the console ratio is nearly identical. So what happens is that when a tantric yogi would sit and perfectly align with the universe and the energy of the universe, then without using console, you will hear the sound of the console, because your cochlea will be transformed into a way that it will be able to hear the anāhata nāda. So I mean, this makes me so emotional, so fantastically scientific, that you are using a sensor and making it more sensitive to listen to the spiraling of the galaxies, and spiraling of various spirals, clockwise and anti-clockwise spirals that are happening, building from your DNA has a spiraling nature. Alpha helices in every single proteins of 30,000, 40,000 proteins that construct your body. You're made of proteins, right? You know it. So all the proteins, every single unit part, you will find alpha helices. So these helices or vortices, of course, you also know the left-handed vortices are there. I mean, during the evolution process of the universe, somehow that got selected. I will discuss about it later in some episode. Why does it so? So it's the left-handed orientation, and that is actually giving you the tantric way of cochlear rotation, and that resembles to the conch cell. So the Shiva Shakti Upashak, they always try to transform the cochlears to hear the anāhata. Finally, I will talk about hatha yogis who said that when you are transforming, just like you want to get a siddhi labh, you transform your whole body into a level where 144 seconds you could concentrate your mind. Similarly, hatha yogis, they fix your ear, visuals, auditory system, so that you can listen to the sound of the universe. So, because listening to Brahman by transforming your senses is one of the practices of Hinduism, one of the primary practices of Hinduism, because you want to transform your body according to the laws of the universe, because only then you will be able to synchronize with the Brahman. So that is kind of the whole objective. So now for hatha yogis, you will hear the sound of grasshoppers when you are at the first level of transformations, and then you will hear the sound of benu, that is flute, and karkara is a grasshopper, and then mridanga, or this kind of conch bill-like thing that circularly two different discs coming together, and finally you hear the conch shell. Because when you hear the conch shell, then almost your entire cochlear region goes into resonance. So basically, from very, very high, almost non-auditory grasshopper sound to the conch shell sound, the four phase transitions were integral part of hatha yoga. So you have to understand in the Hangsha Upanishad and other places, Hangsha Dhani Raga, so other Upanishads, they talked about how actually you transform this particular kind of sensory systems to prepare yourself to listen to the sound of the universe. And of course, call out this one. Hangsha Dhani is my favorite raga. I was measuring the spinal cord and high frequency, because as you know, as a scientist, I discovered a duodecanogram, the high frequency oscillations that is coming out from different part of the body. So I touched the sensors to my spinal cord and many different part when we are doing human subject study, and we found near the lotus chakra is a heart chakra, and just behind it in the spinal cord we are measuring, we found that the triplet that you're supposed to see for frequencies, triplet you always see, and you can look at my research articles for details. But what I want to say is here, the lotus chakra is in the central part, 6 to 26 megahertz, and in the middle part, that is around 12, 13 or 14, around this 10 to 12 or 13, 12.80, I think, exact megahertz frequency. I don't know, I measured it in 2008. So that frequency will find an extended flat region and a set of lotus petal-like peaks. And that comes from your spinal cord, if the sensors is put in the spinal cord. So it is said that the conch shell sound that Hindus create is not only to transform your cochlea, not only to transform you, because if you listen in the early morning and in the near evening period, the microcosm and microscopic life forms that are there, they get synchronized. So basically, now we know because of the microbiome research that human body's genetic varieties that you are just 0.001% of the entire microbiome life form that lives inside you. So you are the guest, they are the host. So it is not they are the guest and you are the host as far as genetic variability is concerned. And that microcosm life forms that are there out in the world, that actually synchronizes with the universe. So you have to purify them. Why? Because when I go from, say, I live in Japan, I go to India, and I get stomach upset because my microbiomes of Japanese microbiomes need to get replaced with the Indian microbiome. Then I go to US, then same thing happens, that my microbiome needs to be replaced with the American microbiomes. So when I come back, then they needs to be replaced. Now you understand that that's why you get traveling diarrhea or something like that. So those microcosm life forms you need to transform, because they carry the information of the environment and they go inside and you create intimacy of the life forms, and they are most active during the early morning and then evening period. So one objective was the sound to cure, purify, and synchronize this microbial life forms, which I am the host in them. So purifying them with the sound of the conch shell was one of my duties. Apart from that, transforming my body, preparing it to listen to the anāhata was the final objective. This is how I end the 2 episodes of conch shells.